Welcome back, Astro listeners, to Star Lady Soul Reader Network. This is Media Monk, and as usual, I'm joined by our shining star of the zodiac, Star Lady. Hi, Star Lady.
Hello, Media Monk.
And we all remember Star Lady is indeed Kim Marie, the managing director for our network. EAN continues to provide the finest EA course to certify new astrologers, and we also attract many more people just looking for that next level of soul growth in their lives with our materials. I guess we're going to get right into it. You know, this is kind of a special fall edition of a New Moon podcast, New Moon in Libra. So, you know, you've been doing the research, and I'm just going to turn it over to you, Star Lady. We'll talk about other things we got going on in the queue as we proceed.
Sure. First of all, thank you, everyone. We did not disappear off the face of the planet. We did miss our full moon podcast as we traveled a lot over the summer. Most of the time we've been at a place where we could continue to do our podcast and or webinars. And the month of September didn't really allow us to do that. But we're back home now and back on our new moon, full moon schedules. And holy moly, we got a busy October, Media Monk. First of all, on this new moon podcast, which is going to take place October 6th at 13.5 degrees Libra. In the midst of all that, over the next few days, we have 7 planets retrograde right now with Mercury retrograde. We have 4 of those 7 planets going direct in October in the space of 12 days in the middle of the month. And then we also will have a triple stellium. We'll have Sun catch up with Mars and Mercury retrograde going back over both of them. So we're going to have a triple conjunction of Sun, Mercury retrograde, and Mars, October 8th and 9th, right around that 15, 16, 17 degrees Libra. So if you have any planets in cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, if those planets are anywhere between 10 to 20 degrees of those cardinal signs, you will be strongly impacted by the Mercury retrograde, by this triple conjunction of Sun, Mercury, Mars. We're all going to be impacted by 4 planets turning direct. 3 of those planets are Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. Hey, who remembers last year, 2020, COVID, and the triple conjunctions that we had with Jupiter 3 times to Pluto in Capricorn? I think it was 23, 24, 25 Capricorn. Then we had Saturn conjunct Pluto once early 2020 at 23 Capricorn. Finally, last December, Jupiter conjunct Saturn, 0.5 degrees Aquarius. Well, these planets, these 3, Jupiter, growth, Saturn, contraction, Pluto, the soul, they're still traveling close enough that they are turning retrograde and stationary direct at the same time. And so, Pluto stationary direct, October 6th, right after the new moon, Pluto at 24 degrees Capricorn. Remember I said Sun, Mercury, Mars meeting on the far side of the Sun, October 8th and 9th. Saturn, stationary direct, October 10th, 7 degrees Aquarius. And then we'll have Jupiter and Mercury turn direct the same day, October 18th. Jupiter direct at 22.5 Aquarius. Mercury finishes up its retrograde cycle in Libra at 10 Libra. Ooh, that was rattling off a bunch of dates, Media Monk. Oh, speak English, Kimberly. What's it all mean? Let's just look at the fact that we have Sun passing through the sign of Libra. It initiates the second half of the zodiac. All 3 Mercury retrogrades are in air signs this year: Aquarius, Gemini, and now Libra. We have a plethora of Libra energy going on. Mars is moving through Libra until the end of October as well. And Libra is, that symbolism of the scales balancing, but it doesn't mean that Libra energy is always balanced. Look around you anywhere and you can see the extremes of polarity going on. The EA mantra I made up is I balance a diversity of relationships with my own initiative. Well, we can have a diversity of ideas and what's going to become the evolving, emerging choice point. There's so much going on right now. There's so much communication issues going on right now. There can be personal relationship issues. There are collective relationship issues going on. There's information and misinformation galore going on. I think what we will see throughout this month of October is those famous choice points where everything kind of coalesces into this is going to be the way forward, be it our own personal life or be it broad collective circles. And so, for you personally, where is your life at? Where do you feel chaos taking place? Where do you feel like you're just trying to deal with the details of all the relationships that you have in your life right now? With our travels, we didn't get to our Mercury retrograde in Libra. The biggest thing, this is a very active Mercury retrograde. It makes aspects to 6 other planets and the nodal axis. The big one is that Mercury is making 3 conjunctions to Mars. Again, that second one is October 8th at 15 Libra. And Mercury's making 3 last quarter squares to Pluto. And right now Pluto is just getting ready to turn stationary direct at 24 degrees, which is where the second of the 3 squares, Mercury to Pluto, took place the 1st of October. Those are 2 pretty powerhouses. And Pluto in evolutionary astrology is the soul and its desires in the deepest unconscious levels. Mars is how those desires are instinctively made conscious. They're known as the co-rulers of Scorpio sometimes. So Mercury interacting with Mars and Pluto, it's like, I want this, no, I want that. No, I want this, no, I want that. I want you, I don't want you. I like you, I don't like you. Mercury retrograde can be revealing all kinds of communication issues, or even the exposure of lies, the exposure of what's truth. It can, in some cases be pretty mind-blowing. Pluto, Mars, change a course of action on a dime. And we thought we were going this way, and all of a sudden we're going that way. And so this new moon of Libra, with Mars being so close to the Sun and Mercury and the moon on the new moon, it behooves us to take a deep breath once in a while, to do that Aries polarity and find a centeredness within, to be alone, to go off on our own, to be able to balance and center through everything that's going on, through everything that is coming at us in our world. And so Libra can sometimes just run itself ragged, trying to please everybody else. at the expense of itself. There's that extreme where we're not balancing us with others. It can, if it's too much into the people pleaser, that Aries anger is going to come out, and we're going to have to reestablish a new equilibrium. We can see all kinds of that going on because, again, the new moon is Wednesday, October 6th, and we're recording this the day before. Right after that new moon, Pluto is standing still. Pluto stands still in the skies for almost 7 days. So we're really, really feeling the attention and energy within our own soul. I want this, no, I want that. And we're really getting clear messaging, Libra. How well can we listen, Libra, of deep, deep choice points within our own soul. And following that, the next day, Thursday, October 7th, Venus gets out of deep Scorpio. That's adding its 2 cents into all of our relationship, intimacy, ups and downs, all our resource issues, ups and downs. Venus moves from Scorpio to Sag, October 7th through November 5th. Gives me my freedom. And so it also, Venus moving into Sag, can be revealing truth on broad levels, little ones, big ones, deep ones. Collectively, as we look at the let's just say from the perspective of the United States and Congress and Democrats versus Republicans and the Libran lines in the sand they draw with refusing to compromise with each other over this issue, that issue, I think we will see a lot of that reach its own choice points of decisions as we move through this month of October. Just the nature of Pluto. October 6th, Saturn, October 10th, Jupiter, October 18th, Mercury the same day, going direct. This new moon is really going to lay those seed thoughts. And Mercury retrograde will continue to reveal. Sun will shine the light of day on it, and Mars will say, and this is how I'm going to act upon it. So Venus, as it moves into Sag, then, in the midst of the Sun, Mercury, Mars stelliums, is going to go over the South Node of the Moon, which is transiting about 3 to 2 degrees Sagittarius. One more arena of having truth exposed, or in its distortions, just blindly clinging to our perception of truth in order to feel secure. How well can you again just step back from the busyness and listen? Step back and just honor what the universe is revealing to you. Just look at the news that's going on right now. If you follow any of that, we've been kind of out of touch with it for a little bit. It's been very nice, followed it loosely. But I guess there was this whistleblower for Facebook, and somehow we missed that. But as we've been home over the weekend, all of a sudden this female exposed herself working for Facebook and just said the classic line is profits over safety. And, she says it's just like what we found out with smoking cigarettes however many years ago. The research was all there and they buried it. And finally it was exposed. This is exactly what we have going on right now, where all of a sudden there is so much evidence coming out with, truth exposed. It's like you really have to put your head in the sand to ignore it. By the way, side note here, I will be doing a free public webinar on EA Zoom. Mark your calendars if you want. October 14th, 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And my talk will be on Saturn and Uranus, the surrender and rebirthing process. So you're welcome to tune into that live over, of all places, Facebook, or you can see it on the EA Zoom channel afterwards on YouTube. I'll get more into Mark Zuckerberg and the chart for the Facebook IPO. We don't have a birth time for Mark Zuckerberg, but we do have his birth date and place. We do have a chart for the initial public offering on the Facebook IPO. And they've got planets there in mid-degrees of Taurus, and it's being conjunct. Uranus is going over the Taurus planets in both charts. Saturn's getting ready to square those planets. I'm looking at 2022 being perhaps a pretty intense year for the whole process that we know as Facebook. Stay tuned. I'll give more details again on that on this EA Zoom talk, October 14th, 5:30 Mountain Time. It's just one example on that collective level of, the Libran, the Libran extremes just, being exposed. Interesting little tidbit for you is, Mark Zuckerberg has a South Node in Sag, a North Node in Gemini. He just had his second lunar return here over the last month or two. And so here is his own exposure of lies versus truth. That North Node in Gemini duality. Well, I say this, but we do that. And it's really, being exposed here. Back to the personal. Not just this month, but ever since, Pluto went retrograde April 27th, 27 Capricorn. Saturn went retrograde May 23rd, 13.5 Aquarius. Jupiter went retrograde on the summer solstice June 20th at 2 Pisces. Ever since the spring, as these three planets have been reversing through the zodiac in a tandem time period, we've been able, or at least we have been given the opportunity to throw off a lot of conditioning factors within our souls and a lot of conditioning factors within our roles in the world, Saturn, with our perceptions of everything, Jupiter, with how we are maturing our souls in the world. We've had a lot of things stirred up over the spring and summer in our lives. And through this Mercury retrograde and the month of October, for each of us personally, one more time, choice points, decision points. How do I feel about this occupation, this career, this job, this role? How do I feel about these family relationships? How do I think and feel about how I want to walk through planet Earth as we are one more year adjusting to the fourth COVID wave, for instance, in the United States? It still has a personal effect for all of us. How do I feel about being vaccinated, pro and con? And so, one more time, New Moon in Libra. Find the space to be quiet, to be alone. You have inner and outer messages and voices coming through all over the place. You are meant to be listening. And Mercury retrograde in Libra pointing to Aries. You are also meant to find that quiet time alone, to really hear your own voice and your own messages, your own decisions coming through. And that will give you your guidance each step moving forward, each step moving forward. When we get to that full moon of Aries, which is going to be October 20th at 27.5 degrees, Sun, Libra, Moon, Aries. Sun will be right on that spot, close to that spot. Mercury went retrograde at 25.5 Libra. That full moon will take place 27.5 Libra, Aries. Some of your personal decisions will just be boom, boom, boom throughout the rest of this week into this weekend. Some of us, there will be more things revealed, and decisions and choice points personally will happen closer to that full moon exposure. Just be okay knowing that as I move through each day in the month of October, oh, I get it. Oh, this is it. All right, this is how I'm going to do it. This is my way forward. Oh, here's my decision making. As we look at Mercury retrograde making the last quarter squares to Pluto, Mars will do so. Sun will do so as well. Okay, and as we also look at Mercury, one of the nice aspects, and I don't like using that word, one of the other aspects that Mercury is making 3 times with its retrograde cycle is 3 waning trines to Jupiter in Aquarius. Mercury in Libra, Jupiter in Aquarius. That means we will also have Mars and Sun making 3 waning trines to Jupiter as well. While the last quarter squares to Pluto intensify things, the last quarter trines to Jupiter can reveal answers. Show me the truth. Show me the truth. What are the deepest things that I need to know? When you have 7 planets retrograde, which, by the way, from the moment Mercury went retrograde, September 26th, 27th, 25.5 Libra, to the time, Pluto goes direct, October 6th, we've had a real deep 2 weeks. 7 planets retrograde throwing off the past left and right. Medium Monk, I got to take a drink.
You need a drink of water, Star Lady, yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Well, two things as you were talking, I couldn't help but think about last night's conversation with Tanner in our Cliff Cave. We had a 26-year-old nephew over here, and he was discussing some of his conversations with, colleagues at work, mom and dad, et cetera, and we discussed that theory of projection. Sometimes the things that you're throwing out there that you're most worried about or obsessed about or fearful of, you tend to throw those on to somebody else, and project it outward. And that is such a Libran truism that I would just kind of throw out a little red flag warning on speaking too much without having that measured and considered willingness to listen first, and then kind of watch yourself with Mars sitting there on that stellium. It's always going to trigger you to want to react too quickly. I would just soften that that need to react too quickly in conversations, because you will tend to throw up on somebody else and project onto them stuff that you haven't processed yet, which is what a lot of our conversations are in consensus reality, for sure.
Thank you. Very nice one, Medium Monk. What else?
Oh, just this whole thing in this cycle of all the politics going on and all of the polarities of right, wrong, or too expensive, too cheap. These are just all very Libran qualities too. So there's a lot of comparisons going on, a lot of extremes at bay. And then you add in the power of social media, and things can really get out of hand in a hurry. So always try to get zen and go to the center instead of the extremes. That's what I would suggest.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. All right. I think we're kind of getting the message here. From October 6th, Pluto direct, to October 10th, Saturn direct. In between that, the Sun, Mercury retrograde, Mars stelliums. A little bit of intense few days coming up here. Jupiter going into Sag, and over that South Node, we want to bust out, break free. And like you intimated, we could spontaneously, throw up on someone else, literally, figuratively, and then go, "Oh,
oops." Yeah, it can happen, and it can happen in an instant. And so, it's a real unique time right now, because we are starting the second half of the zodiacal cycle. I mean, we're between now and next spring is the culmination of another annual cycle, and so we have to look at this amount of energy beginning that process as having to have some completion or fruition throughout the next several months. So, like you say,
Go ahead.
The full moon period will get the initial answers, but you may have some of these ahas about what were you saying earlier? Those making considered efforts before acting. So and our whole value system is going to be challenged. So, the changes might really come later on in the fall and winter.
Exactly.
Or might be realized, I should say.
Well, how do we get along? And there's an intensity of energy right now, personal and collective, that is saying, I don't want to get along. I'm tired of a relationship with you. I want my freedom. And someone else may not want to give us that freedom. Or the freedom is like, oh, but wait a minute, this is a familial tie. It's not easy to walk away from this.
Mm-hmm.
How do we find that balance? How do we find that common ground? And how do we find that ability to move forward in new ways? How do we co-parent the highest and best ways possible for our children, even if it is not for us to be a coupled unit anymore? How do we hold healthy boundaries?
Yeah, if there's anything bubbling beneath the surface, you could almost, any issues of damaged trust or whatever pops up in our relationships will really be peaked at this particular time. So it's everything plays out in the mirror with the people we're looking at and reflecting stuff back to us. So that's the kind of phase we're in right now, no doubt.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening to us today. We'll be back on that full moon of Aries, and we'll touch into what has happened in the 2 weeks between the new moon and full moon. Take care of yourselves. Be safe.
Indeed.
Exercise if you can. I'm going. Media Monk, we made that fall commitment to get daily walks in. I think we should do those daily walks out in the mountains.
Yeah, especially at 88 degrees today. Well, we're going to get our walk in, I'll promise you. But we're also going to encourage people to go to our website, www.evolutionaryastrology.net. Always call us to schedule your session with Star Lady at 1-605-348-5111. And again, as always, until the full moon, move with joy and lots of passion on this always relationship-orientated journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for listening, everyone.